the workshop of the County Commission to order, please. And first we'll do a roll call. Who's going to do that? Della or who? I think we have a quorum, right? So we're good.
You have a quorum present, and you have one commissioner requesting to participate online.
Right. And, oh, I see Commissioner Peters up there. Good morning, Commissioner. So I'm assuming it's okay with everyone that Commissioner Peters participates.
I would suggest you go ahead and take a vote because you do have a physical quorum present.
That's what I was just asking, Madam Counsel. Okay, everybody, and we all agree. Thank you. Okay, we're good with you, Commissioner Peters. Barry, do you want to lead off with our community survey results,
Sure.
please?
Good morning, commissioners. Yeah, we have 2 items today, but these should take the bulk of the morning. There's a couple of program issues that'll require some discussion. First up, though, I'm going to bring Aubrey up and let her kind of introduce the team. We got 2 items that we're going to talk about. One is the community survey results, and then we're going to talk about the strategic planning update and the work that they've been doing since then. So with that, I'll turn it over to Aubrey.
Thank you, Mr. Burton. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Aubrey Phillips, Strategic Planning and Performance Manager with Pinellas County's Office of Management and Budget. And first off, I'm actually going to hand the mic over to Stephen Vickers. He's with us here today from Polco, who is our survey administrator for the National Community Survey. So Stephen, if you want to come on up and present, he'll be presenting a brief overview of this year's survey results.
And I think, Aubrey, it's important before he comes up to talk about this shift to the national survey. Remind commissioners about that change that we've undergone, because that's reflective of the results.
Absolutely. So the National Community Survey, we were excited to work with the Polco and the National Research Center. This is actually a nationally benchmarked survey, and Stephen will touch a little bit more on this, but it's performed in over 500 communities across the country. So we not only get a sense of how do our citizens feel, but how does that compare with other communities across the nation? And it also allows us to filter that and see how we compare to benchmarks here in the state of Florida and other similar sized communities around the nation. So it gives us a lot more robust data to inform your decision making and how we move forward. So very excited to hear from Stephen and get your feedback on the results.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Stephen Vickers, and I am a survey associate at Polco. I'm happy to be here today in this beautiful community of Pinellas County to present a summary of findings from the 2023 National Community Survey. Now, before I begin, on behalf of myself and my Polco co-workers, I'd very much like to thank Aubrey Phillips and Shannon Mills, our primary contacts throughout the survey process. They have spent countless hours working on every detail on this project, and they were instrumental in its success. I would also like to acknowledge my colleagues, Joe Sodolio, who's here with me today, and Pamela Austria, both of whom were indispensable to this important project. So we're going to begin with an overview of the survey results. This was the first time conducting the NCS with Polco, and the survey was carried out from February 23rd to April 6th of this year. We employed a hybrid mailing approach to the survey, for which we developed a representative probability sample of 4,500 randomly selected households. By hybrid, I mean that households were sent mailings that provided them an opportunity to take the survey either online through our platform or through the mail. To build this sample, we took a list of all households in Pinellas County and geocoded them to ensure that we were only sampling residents living within the county's boundaries. From there, we randomly selected 4,500 households. A total of 555 completed surveys were received from these efforts, providing a response rate of 13% and a margin of error of plus or minus 4 percentage points. We also compared the demographic profile of survey respondents to that of adults in Pinellas County using the most recent census data and weighted the survey results, which is a survey research best practice and helps to improve the representativeness of your survey results. In addition to the randomly selected probability sample of households, a link to an online community-wide open participation survey was publicized by Pinellas County. The open participation survey was open to all county residents and became available on March 23rd. The survey remained open for 2 weeks and 285 responses were received. This presentation and the full report are based on the 555 responses from the random sample, mail-based survey. The responses to the open participation survey are provided separately in the full report. Now, one of the advantages for a local government of participating in our community surveys across the nation one of the advantages to a local government of participating in our community surveys is the opportunity to compare ratings given by your residents to those from communities across the nation. We were the first organization to conceive of the idea to create benchmarks of public opinion, and this allows jurisdictions to compare their ratings of services to ratings of similar services across the nation. There are currently about 500 communities in our database that represent the voices of more than 50 million residents. So Pinellas County received comparisons to the entire national benchmark database. Now, ratings are considered similar if they are within 10 points of the national average, and then more positive or more negative if they are more than 10 points removed from that average. Of the 122 survey items for which residents provided evaluative ratings, 11 ratings were more positive than the national benchmark. So this includes Pinellas County as a place to visit, the vibrancy of the downtown commercial areas, and recreational opportunities in the county. 103 received similar ratings, and this included the sense of community in the county, economic development, and cleanliness. 8 received more negative ratings, and that included traffic flow on major streets and the ease of public parking. Now, Pinellas County also elected to compare the results to a custom subset of communities from within the national database. This custom subset included all communities in our database within the state of Florida. Of the 122 survey items, 8 received more positive ratings. This includes Pinellas County as a place to visit, the variety of business and service establishments. We have 79 that received similar ratings. That includes the overall quality of life and the feeling of safety from property and violent crime. And then 35 received more negative ratings, and that includes the variety of housing options and the available of affordable housing. And this is, again, comparing to the subset of communities from the state of Florida alone. Moving into some highlights from our findings, I do want to point out just a few things that stood out to us as survey researchers. There is a ton of data in the full report that we don't have the time to cover today, but we wanted to highlight a few areas that we as survey researchers found to be most noteworthy. So first off, Pinellas County residents experience a high quality of life and have confidence in their local government. So looking at the pie graph here on the left, we can see that more than 8 in 10 residents stated that the overall quality in life in Pinellas County was excellent or good. The same is seen on the right side as well, with more than 8 in 10 residents offering positive ratings to the county as a place to live, the likeliness to remain in Pinellas County for the next 5 years, and the likeliness to recommend living in the county to someone who asks. About 3/4 also favorably rated the overall image of the county as a place to retire, and the county as a place to raise children. In each of these cases, Pinellas County was on par with national benchmarks. In addition to the strong quality of life enjoyed by Pinellas County residents, perceptions of local government performance were generally strong and similar to comparison communities across the country. About 7 in 10 residents offered excellent or good marks to the overall customer service of county employees and the quality of services provided by county employees. In this slide, we dig a bit deeper into specific aspects of governance and see that more than half of residents positively rated the county government at treating residents with respect, the overall direction of the county, the value of services for the taxes paid, and in generally acting in the best interest of the community. Likewise, about half of respondents positively rated the county government at treating all residents fairly, the overall confidence in the county government, the county at being honest, welcoming resident involvement, informing residents, and in being open and transparent to the public. All of these scores were similar to national benchmarks. Now, a second key finding that we have here is that some aspects of mobility could present some opportunities for the county. And when we say mobility, we mean the ease with which residents can move about their communities, whether that's for commuting for work, leisure, or recreation. Mobility scores provided by Pinellas County residents largely place the county on par with national averages, with a couple of exceptions. When evaluating general aspects of mobility in the community, about half of respondents gave excellent or good marks to the overall quality of transportation, the ease of walking, and the ease of travel by bicycle, each similar to the national benchmark. A similar proportion of respondents positively rated the ease of travel by car, but this rating fell below the national benchmark. 1/3 of residents also gave below average evaluations to the ease of public parking and traffic flow on major streets in Pinellas County. In evaluations for mobility-related services, about 6 in 10 respondents rated street lighting and street cleaning as excellent or good, with other services garnering positive ratings from about half of residents. In each of these cases, they are similar to the national benchmark. Now, the NCS has a space where a community can add questions of current topical or policy interest. I'd like to show the responses from the community to one of the custom questions asked by Pinellas County on this year's survey. So this question sought to determine the importance that residents place on specific county investments. 8 potential investment priorities were offered, and residents were asked how important it was for the county to make the respective investment. We can see that all of these are important to residents, but the results indicate that water, sewer systems, as well as stormwater management, were the most important. On the other end here, we have the importance of pedestrian improvements and behavioral health in the county selected as excellent or very important by about 2/3 of residents. So we do see some gradation there. Now, these are only some of the things that we as survey researchers found during our analysis. And we also discovered that, unsurprisingly, the county's incredible natural environment and recreational opportunities are important assets to the community. Additionally, utility infrastructure in the county may be an additional area for focus, which we saw on the previous slide as well. Ultimately, you're going to be able to extract more insights with your more intimate knowledge of the community. We at Polco look forward to working with y'all to tap into the resident voice of the county and help you make data-driven decisions to continue to lead this incredibly beautiful community forward. Thank y'all.
Okay, Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just had a quick question, and it goes back to the first slide when you mentioned the random sample that you did. Was that done geographically?
What was that?
Was that a geographic random sample?
What do you mean by geographic random sample? Because we did, we geocoded all of the potential households from our
Right.
U.S. Postal Service list, and it was geocoded to ensure that it's we only sampled those geographically within the confines of Pinellas County. What do you mean? Can you elaborate a little bit?
So could it have been like the majority of residents in one certain part of the county, or did you do it where the 4,500 were from different parts of the county?
So the 4,500 counties were split between a number of, the sample was split between unincorporated and incorporated areas. So we do have some geographic breakdown there
Okay.
that is available, yes.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Where can we find that type of data?
So a PDF of the results, as well as a link to a Tableau interactive dashboard, are available on the county's website as of this morning.
Okay. Because I don't think he was kind of getting to your question. I mean, you want to know, we want to know, is everybody that's on the
Yeah.
survey from St. Pete or from North County, very different parts of the county?
And
Right, because the issues in North County may be different than the issues in South County or the central part of the county or the unincorporated areas versus the, cities on the beach, for instance.
So Stephen, if you can respond in a little more detail perhaps, but Yes, looking at the responses, they are geographically distributed throughout the entire Pinellas County so that we have representation from all areas of the community.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have a question?
Right now.
No? Oh, not yet. Commissioner Justice. Commissioner Peters, I can't see you anymore, but do you have a question?
I do not, but my thoughts on that beach erosion would be people that are not on the beach living there, and that's why the results would be a little lower. But thank you, Madam Chair.
Good point. Anything else? Okay,
Next piece.
that was easy.
Good morning again, Commissioners. So next up, we'll be sharing with you an update on how your feedback and direction from our prior conversations in January and February, along with the resident priorities that were expressed in the national community, how those two things are really shaping the development of the new 5-year strategic plan that will guide the county's operations from fiscal years 25 through 30. The draft outcomes that you'll see during today's presentation, thank you. The draft outcomes you'll see during today's presentation, they've also been refined to reflect the best available data. So where we have measures that were benchmarked, trended, and most relevant to those priorities expressed by the community, that's where we've tried to focus in what you'll see today. Today also represents a kickoff to follow-up engagement with key audiences. So it's not a one and done of we did the community survey and great, thanks, we've heard from you. This is an ongoing conversation we're having with the community to make sure that the strategic plan is serving the community well over the next 5 years. So we'll be doing that outreach to community partners, subject matter experts, the general public, and those portions of our population that were relatively underrepresented in survey respondents. We want to make sure that we have an accurate understanding of the community's priorities to inform your decision-making on this plan. So this engagement, along with your direct input today and through early August, will help refine the draft you'll see at the end of August. So looking at the survey results, as you heard from Mr. Vickers, residents experience a high quality of life and have overall confidence in their local government. That's great news. And overall, our results are on par with peers and historical data that we've collected. Looking through the lens of your strategic planning discussions in this past January and February, other findings that stood out to us involved the importance placed on natural resources and our infrastructure, general positivity around the economy, but that's being tempered by lower than benchmarks rating around the availability of quality housing, and then favorable ratings of health and safety factors, including higher than benchmark ratings of emergency preparedness services, despite lower than benchmark feelings of safety from natural disasters. So I'll hearken back to something we heard our sheriff say during budget information sessions. It's a combination of do people feel safe and are they safe? And really balancing those two factors. As discussed in the recent budget information sessions last month, there are a number of strategic initiatives already underway that this board has supported in addressing the priorities that we heard from residents in the surveys. So having completed the sidewalk backlog project earlier this year, we're maintaining focus on improving transportation infrastructure across the county. We're also continuing to advance affordable housing initiatives in partnership with municipalities and continuing to streamline access to behavioral health services by implementing the coordinated access model, soon to be launched as Care About Me. And then at your direction, we've continued to put emphasis on strengthening relationships and building partnerships throughout the region. We get more done when we work together. As we move through the process of developing a new 5-year strategic plan, the proposed framework really aims to bring focus to the most important results. So let's take a look at what that's looking like. So based on your work session discussions in January and February, you can see updated recommendations reflected here. The vision statement is proposed to remain the same, to be the standard for public service in America. The mission, we are recommending be updated to be meeting the needs and concerns of the community today and tomorrow. And then guided by resident priorities expressed in the National Community Survey, the proposed framework centers around the 4 key results of economic opportunity and prosperity, healthy and safe communities, resilient infrastructure and environment, and smart service delivery. Expanding on this high-level framework, the next series of slides will focus on draft outcome indicators, as well as example programs and projects that are associated with each of the 4 key results you see here. So first up, a quick orientation to the next few slides. The draft outcome indicators you'll see for each key result include the most recent data and where available, information about changes over time, and whether we're higher, lower, or on par with peer communities. And for this data, we compared specifically to peer communities in Florida. So those are communities with populations over 500, and there are about 12 different counties across the state that sort of fall into our peer benchmark group.
Aubrey, I just questioned. If you
Yes, sir.
don't mind. I'm sorry. Just going back to that first slide, it says to be the standard for public service in America. And it seems like when we were looking at those survey results, either I wasn't picking up on it exactly right, or the standard in Florida is higher than in America, because we're not doing as well against our Florida peers as we are against the country as a whole. So I was just wondering if it might be better to be the standard for public service in Florida as our vision, and if we do that, then obviously the rest is taken care of. Just a comment, thought on your part.
Excellent point. And one thing to keep in mind when we're looking at benchmark data, and this is something we've been thinking and talking a lot about, is so the examples that you saw that Stephen presented comparing to other communities in Florida, when we're talking about the survey results, we are Polco's largest client in the state of Florida. And so when we're comparing just to other Florida communities on the National Community Survey, we're comparing to communities that may not be similar to us in size. And so here with these outcome indicators, we've really focused on communities that are similar in size to us. But
Was that similar to the national, cities that weren't similar in size, or did we do that differently?
So for the community survey results, they looked at how we compared nationally to all communities and how we compared to all communities in Florida. So
Okay,
they did not.
Similar.
Yeah, they did not put size into that factor where we did with these.
Some were, some weren't.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep. Let me come back. Went too far there. All right. So as you'll see, these draft outcome indicators, they're actively under development, and they'll be further refined based on your feedback, as well as that follow-up engagement that I mentioned that we're doing with staff and the community through early August. So here you can see draft outcome measures paired with examples of county programs and projects that are aimed at driving economic opportunity and prosperity in the community. Drawing your attention to the right-hand side of the slide, as one example, you can see the new CEO-led One Pinellas Business Alliance that's aimed at driving economic opportunity and prosperity. And here that's reflected as being measured by the number of businesses per 1,000 residents. You can see some of this data is from 2019 and 2020. We are working on getting updated data to inform these conversations as we move forward. But as you can see, that's one that's relatively similar to other similar-sized communities in Florida and has been pretty stable as of 2020. So we want to make sure that that's continuing to trend in a positive way moving forward. Moving on to resilient infrastructure and environment, we know that the well-being and economy of Pinellas depends on the infrastructure and natural resources, and that those can bounce back from the shocks and stressors of life on a peninsula on a peninsula. The 2 icons you see here, I did want to speak to briefly. Those are actively under development. So as you heard from Public Works, they are working on an infrastructure report card that we're working with them to roll up into an overall indicator for the strategic plan. And then beach and surface water quality, a shout out here to Public Works. They've done some excellent data development work, making sure that we have good, reliable data on beach and surface water quality. So we're working now on developing that into an index that looks at trends and changes over time. And then the last thing I wanted to really emphasize on this slide was to just orient you a little bit to that natural hazards risk index. This is something that's put out by the Federal Emergency Management Association, and it combines data on expected annual losses in a community, social vulnerability, as well as community resilience to give communities a score on how at risk they are from natural hazards.
Commissioner Justice.
Yes,
So are the data, thank you, Madam Chair, the data we're seeing up there, those are current, accurate?
yes.
So 99.2 out of 100 for at risk of a natural disaster?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
It's scary.
Yeah, and if you, I'm happy to share the link with you all afterwards, but looking at the map of the nation, a lot of Florida is in that upper percentile of that 100-point range in that natural hazards risk index. When you face hurricanes, there's only so much you can do there.
And Mr. Lowack, don't put that on any of our slides going out, please.
Moving on to look at draft outcome indicators for healthy and safe communities. On the far left, I'll just draw your attention here to the coordinated access model, again, soon to be launched as Care About Me, that's streamlining access to behavioral health services and long-term may help reduce overdose deaths. On the right, you can see where we're still working actively to clarify what would be an appropriate outcome indicator that would speak to the outcomes associated with services like mosquito control, building permitting, rabies vaccination and licensing, those things that really help to prevent disease and injury in our community, but are very long-term, big picture kind of services and programs. And then finally, while the first three key result areas really focus on the results we're delivering for the community, this smart service delivery turns the mirror around and looks internally at how are we doing on delivering services effectively and efficiently, and engaging the public appropriately to do so. So here we see things like countywide energy usage, satisfaction per budget dollar. So how are we doing on delivering what our residents expect in an efficient way? And then programs that are meeting the defined level of service. So are we delivering what we expected to based on our plan?
And so, Commissioners, what you're seeing here is the kind of global community-type data results that we can track over time. These will be boiled down into each program, each area, and they'll have measure performance indicators for each one of those programs, and hundreds of programs that you're not seeing here. But that's the way the influence of your strategic plan and these directions will flow down into the departmental activities, and all of them having measurable results.
And while I didn't ask the administrator to make that point, it was perfect timing. So as you can see on our timeline here we are today, where we're kicking off that deep dive engagement with key audiences. Again, at the end of August, I'll be back in front of you presenting the revised plan that's been informed by the feedback we received from you as well as residents and staff. And then to the administrator's point, in October, departments will actually begin, even though we'll just put the finishing touches on the adopted budget for FY24, come October 1, departments will begin working on their operational plans for FY25. So getting into the nuts and bolts of what programs and projects are we delivering and how are we measuring our success on those activities. And then finally, I encourage our community members to learn more and engage with us at pinellas.gov/strategic plan. We do have a quick poll on there that allows residents to provide some high-level feedback on the 4 key result areas, as well as leave a comment for us if there's something that they see that's missing or other things that they would like us to consider as we move forward. That'll do it.
Thank you. Members, any questions here? Comments? Commissioner Peters?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Madam.
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you. I like the streamline. We went from 5 to 4 and broadened the areas a little bit. And I think it's always good to kind of refresh every once in a while. It's been, I don't remember how many years ago that those were created. So appreciate your all's good work.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Aubrey. Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I'm just looking back a little bit at the survey results, the national survey results, and again, I'm just looking for perspective. So, with the governance in Pinellas County and how it compares nationally, a lot of green, which means we're doing okay as compared to others. But I mean, the numbers themselves seem low. So 60, 50, and 40, I mean, in that range. I mean, it's good that we're doing good compared to others, but it doesn't sound like our residents around the country are real happy with governance in general, but maybe I'm reading too cynically into the.
Yeah, so first, let me just offer too that I know that there is a lot of information we've provided you this morning, and myself and Kevin Knudsen, we are happy to meet with you one-on-one and would love to talk in more detail about any of the information that we've presented to you today and where we go from here. To answer, or attempt to answer your specific question, Commissioner Eggers, yes, there are folks who study trust and confidence in institutions across the globe has declined since 2020. So we're not alone in that as Pinellas County or as local governments. Trust in institutions across the board has declined. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important that we put emphasis on respectful engagement and building and rebuilding that trust wherever we can with our community, because without that trust and confidence, it impacts everything else we do in local government.
Amen.
Yeah, and then the only other thing, just looking at the mobility in Pinellas County, where we had, I guess, the only thing that we saw here on the presentation of pink, which means significantly below.
Means it's more than 10% below the national benchmark. Yeah.
Ease of travel by car, ease of public parking or travel flow on major streets. So we're doing worse than
Yes.
Florida as a whole, and we're doing worse than the country as a whole. And so I'm just wondering what's wrapped up into this. Maybe there were some other questions that we're not seeing here on ease of public parking. I mean, I have heard a lot about the traveling around, but where did this public parking come from, the ease of public parking? Is it that we're charging for parking at beaches? Is it that we're, I remember, for instance, we tried to do, and I wasn't a part of the effort, but there was an effort to try to charge for parking in downtown Dunedin, and that went over like a lead balloon. And so if you were doing the survey at that moment in time, it would have been horrible, anything to do with parking. And maybe a month or two later, after they reversed themselves, everybody was happy again, and those numbers would have been, although the change wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been a change except an attitude towards public parking. So I was just curious.
So you bring up a couple of really excellent points. So one is that this is a point-in-time survey, and we know that what's happening in our community impacts how people feel about what's happening in our community. And so it is important that we don't just put all of our eggs in one basket and assume that this is everything we need to know about the community's perspective on these topics, right? We're having ongoing conversations. Each department works with their community partners and residents on specific projects and programs. So yes, we need to keep that in mind, that this is one point in time asking about questions. The second point that you're,
Just hold that thought right there, though, because we did this survey in February, right?
Yep, February to March.
So the last week of February and the first week of, so again, I think one of the issues that continues to be brought up is that we have 1 million people in Pinellas County, but on average, we have another 1 million per month of visitors. And I'm guessing in that time frame, it's even higher than that average of 1 million per month.
Our highest tourism season.
Yeah, so when we have traffic flow issues.
That's true.
It's again, I'm not saying we don't have issues, but it seems that it might be a little bit skewed.
Yeah, if you just got stuck in spring training traffic, you're going to feel a way about it when you respond to the survey.
But we brought up the other question that Commissioner LaValle raised, which is trying to get the geographic diversity. We don't necessarily know, is it people in downtown, St. Pete, or, up in Dunedin, or somewhere in between, or whatever. And so that we're taking these results to be countywide, trying to get geographic diversity. But we also understand that, it could be municipal issues or that we don't deal with necessarily or whatever, and it's hard to break all that out when you're doing survey information.
Yeah, and the other thing I would just add is that we have a ton of construction going on, whether it's the stuff on 19, going the bridge, starting to do stuff on US 19 North. So I mean, again, not saying we don't have problems and not saying we're not trying to address some of the issues. I just think that stuff has to be taken. taken into account as well. But I didn't mean to stop you on your second point that you were about to.
No, actually, and the county administrator stole my thunder on that one, which was.
He does that.
It's all right. He's allowed to. This is a broad community survey. So we were talking through this in this survey to folks who live in incorporated areas, those who lived in unincorporated areas, and we're asking about, because it's a nationally benchmarked survey, we ask these nationally benchmarked questions that may or may not be a specific service that Pinellas County is providing. So it's information about how the community is feeling about a lot of different aspects of life in Pinellas County. We have to then interpret it as staff and as elected officials to understand what does this mean for us in our actions and decision making.
So,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I just had one other question.
Well, go ahead.
As we're comparing, again, back to it's cities and counties, right? So we have all of that thrown into the mix, from really all over the country. So you have big cities, rural cities, counties, et cetera.
Yes, so our survey results in that comparison to national benchmark is everybody's in the mix. So when we started to really refine our outcome indicators for the strategic plan, there we focused on nationally available data sets, most of which are based on the census, because then we can really filter it down to similar sized communities in Florida and make sure that we're giving ourselves a fair chance to be successful with some of these outcomes.
It would be nice about similar sized cities or counties in America as well, because we're so all over the place. We may not be hitting any of them because there's some at this end and some at this end of the spectrum. And, we're kind of in the mid, we're in the average, but the average is weighted by, by the extreme,
So we may need to have a data nerd out session, because each of these outcome indicators, we can look at them nationally, we can filter it by similar sized communities across the nation, and we can filter it just to Florida. So it gives us a lot of different ways to look at the data and make sure that we're understanding the picture as best we can.
And this is just one data point that we can use. I think you're going to see when we present the budget next Tuesday, some of the outcome measures be reflective in the priorities that we're setting and the recommendations we're making regarding the budget. So there is a linkage. It does inform us. It's only one data point, but I think it's important, especially when you're talking about countywide issues and the things that we influence in that overall scheme. So, all right.
So Aubrey, in your survey, did you distinguish the difference between folks that were driving around by car and/or folks that were possibly tourists that were here, and the lack of public transportation options? Is that a factor in any of your transportation-related questions?
So there were a few questions in there, so I'm going to do my best to make sure I answer each of them, and if I haven't, please let me know. So one, because of the survey methodology is looking at postal addresses and mailing out, it really is targeted at residents, not our tourists and visitors, and getting resident feedback. So that answers that question. As far as the demographic questions, and I'm kind of looking over at Stephen and Joe here, we do ask demographic questions about whether folks rent or own their home. I don't believe we ask about whether they own a car or are primarily using public transportation already. I'm getting a head shake no. So we don't ask that question about their primary means of transportation. We did see that we didn't hear from renters as much as we heard from homeowners. So that is one of the audiences that we're working with communications and community partners to get the word out through rental associations and others to make sure we really understand the perspectives of our rental community.
So I understand your answer, but I take exception to the first part of your answer where you talked about you were separating the difference between residents and tourists. As someone who has lived in a very large city, I can share with you that an awful lot of residents take public transportation if it is available, if it is effective, and if it is going to take you to enough to a close enough destination that you're willing to take the public transportation.
Agreed. I don't know if they're watching, but my husband and son are actually on the bus to dance class right now in Sarasota County. So
Well, there you go. Perfect example of what I'm saying. Thank you.
thank you. Oh. Yeah, come on up.
Madam Chair, I did have a question.
Yes,
Or maybe
let's-
just a comment.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
And it really goes back to what Commissioner Eggers said. And there's no really way to do this. I understand that on the survey, but on the beach communities and the barrier islands, private companies have bought parking lots. And they're charging $30, $40 to park. And what has become a lot of dissension to the beach communities that I've experienced and you see on social media is these private companies, and this happened to me, I paid for 2 hours and I was only in the establishment for an hour and a half, but they go out and ticket you anyways, even though you didn't exceed your time. So it's kind of like, to me, it's a scam. And if you don't pay the citation within a certain day, their fines will get you up to $120 within 2 weeks. And they send out a citation that looks like a real citation. It looks legitimate, it says citation on it. So people are thinking that it's the county, the sheriff, and the cities that are really gouging you and almost fraudulently charging you for parking. And so I don't know if there's something we can do to make sure that they can't be writing citation so it looks like it's an official government citation, or, you know, because I think people don't, I know at least in my community, they don't know that it's not city parking. They don't know the difference between municipal parking and these private parking lots. And so their dissatisfaction and frustration is really is attacking government when it's not government responsibility. And so I think that's a problem too. I don't know how you solve that, but I don't know if it's our jurisdiction that we could mandate that they can't be using citation on their notices or not, but it's very misleading and the frustration is extremely high among residents and tourists. So that's just something I've experienced on the barrier islands, and it really is problematic. And I see someone is texting me to correct me on maybe something I said, but the frustration is real and it's problematic, and my experience has not been very positive with that organization.
Those are very valid points, Commissioner Peters, and to that point, I think Barry, our county administrator, has a comment he'd like to make.
Commissioner, it's first I've heard of it. I don't know if there's anything consumer protection can do, okay? But that is something that we can ask Doug and his team to look at to see if there's any avenue available.
And then just one clarification on my comment earlier. So there is a question on the survey asking about whether the resident has used public transportation in the last 6 months.
Oh, good. I'm very pleased to hear that. Thank you.
I haven't memorized the whole survey.
Oh, really? Shame on you.
Thank you all, commissioners, for your input this morning.
You're welcome. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Barry?
So there's nothing else, commissioners. We're done. I'm kidding.
No. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I hear some people in the background want to hear our next presentation, which is Kelly Levy on beach nourishment.
Good morning, Kelly. I know you have great news to share, right?
She has news.
So I'll let you be the judge of that. I thought Barry was just giving me the morning off. That was awesome. All right. So thank you, and good morning to everyone. My name is Kelly Levy. I'm the Public Works Director, and I'm here to provide an update on our beach nourishment program. And I'm going to start off with a little history, just so that everyone has some general understanding of the program and how it was created. So we have 35 miles of beaches in Pinellas County, and the state of Florida considers just over 21 miles of those beaches to be critically eroded. On a routine basis, 12 miles of those beaches have been restored through this federal storm damage reduction program. which was initially authorized in 1966. Authorizations don't actually, the 50-year time clock doesn't actually start until that first initial construction, but we were initially authorized in 66. There was an update in 86. So when you're looking at the map to the right there, you see different dates, and I'll go over those. One thing I did want to point out, we call this beach renourishment, and we talk about tourism and residents and sea turtles and all of those things, which are very important. But when you look at our federal agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers, this is a storm damage reduction project. That's what it is. That's why the Army Corps does these projects. When you look at the value of the properties along these stretches where we regularly nourish, the storm damage reduction benefits are over $10 billion to the private properties, and that doesn't even include the public infrastructure, the roads, the water, the sewer, and those other elements of the barrier island. That's just the just value of those properties as it sits today. So Sand Key, the federal authorization for Sand Key, which runs from Clearwater to the north, goes through Bel Air Beach, skipping Bel Air Shore there in the middle, and then runs to the north end of North Reddington. Then we have Treasure Island, which the initial authorization is set to expire in 2031. Which includes both the north and the south segments. And then we have Long Key, which includes the north segment, which is called Upham Beach, and the south segment, which includes Paso Grill, which Long Key is currently scheduled to expire in 2030. We went through a multi-year effort with the Army Corps of Engineers to reauthorize those programs, those reauthorizations were approved. Treasure Island and Long Key were combined into one authorization, and that new authorization is expected to go out to 2078, provided we go to construction on schedule. Additionally, our current funding for these programs is set at 65% federal, 35% county. I have a little asterisk there. We do apply for state funding to help offset the county portion. It is a competitive grant process. We have been very successful because we have this federal partnership. Those 65-35 numbers, some years you'll hear 63, some years you'll hear 62. It really just depends on the specific year that we're doing it and all the analysis that goes into that, but it's generally 65-35. When we look forward, once the new authorizations for Long Key and Treasure Island move forward and the old authorizations expire, after the initial construction, we will move to a 50-50 split with the Army Corps based on those authorizations. This is a historical view of our beach renourishment program and when these projects started. So when you start to the left, you're looking at Treasure Island. The initial construction in Treasure Island was actually in 1968 on Sunshine Beach, and then 1969 for Sunset. And then in the middle, we have Upham and Paso Grill. Upham was first nourished in 1980 and Paso Grill in 86. Sand Key was actually started much later and was started in phases. So Reddington Shores and North Reddington Beach were completed in 88. Indian Rocks Beach then came in 1990. And then Indian Rocks, North Reddington, and Reddington Shores and Indian Shores were completed together in 92, a supplemental nourishment to those first three. And then Bel Air Beach was not actually added in until 1998. You can see that every line is another project, and this just shows that, you know, we've had a very long and positive history with the Army Corps in delivering these projects and sustaining and building an incredible beach system out there that protects our communities and provides for economic and recreational benefits. So what went wrong, I guess? Prior to the 2018 nourishment cycle, We had been using both permanent easements where a lot of work has been done on private property. Examples of that might be south of Sankey Park in the southern Clearwater Beach area, Dan's Island. Those areas, a good chunk of the sand is being placed on private property because it's highly erosional in that area. So there's permanent easements up in that area. Where we don't always need to place sand or it's a very minimal amount, we use temporary construction easements, and up until this time, the Army Corps allowed for that. They notified us in November of 2017 in advance of the 2018 nourishment of the policy change and the requirement to get all of the perpetual easements, and that's for public access and for construction. Obviously, this was a very short notice, and the fact that the 2018 nourishment was scheduled to go to construction around 6 months later, we did our best. We obtained several easements during that period of time, but it was going to be next to impossible. They recognized that and made a one-time policy decision and told us that this would never happen again. That if we could get easements in sections that were 1,500 feet or longer, they would nourish those sections. If they were shorter than that, they would be skipped. And that's how the beach was constructed in 2018. Since we were notified in 2017, easement acquisition has been a very high priority. We have held community meetings in every beach community where we've needed easements. We have gone to condominiums, we've met with HOAs, we've met with individuals, we've had them at our place, we've been to their place, we have talked, we've brought the Army Corps in to explain the details and the why of it. The cities have also pounded on doors and said, sign for sand. That's our message, sign for sand. Unfortunately, at this time, we're still 238 easements short on Sankey. And so Sankey is on hold indefinitely until we find either an alternate path forward or the Army Corps policy changes. Most recently, we were scheduled to go to bid on, the Army Corps was scheduled to go to bid on Treasure Island, Upham, and Pass-a-Grill, June 21st, and headquarters, real estate said, time out, we want you to reconfirm all the real estate. So we are still waiting for that confirmation. We have been told there are issues. We just don't know what they are and how those issues will further delay the project at this time.
So Kelly, what are the reasons? Do you know what the reasons are why 238 people are not willing to sign on the easements?
There are a variety of reasons that individuals have expressed. Concern about the perception that if it's public, it includes public access, that people will be able to, be up on their seawalls and go into their swimming pools, that it's a land right issue, and you've never done this before, you've never asked for this easement before, so why now? They just don't see that anything has changed and don't want to give up their rights. People have also expressed that we could do something different than beach nourishment with a construction easement, that maybe we would construct something back there that they don't want. We worked very hard with the Corps to eliminate those words, sentences, language that were particularly problematic for some folks. The easement itself is less than a full page. It's like 3/4 of a page long. It's very short, very concise, but there are just some folks that are still not willing to participate.
Thank you. Commissioner Justice.
Thank you. Well, thank you. To flip it, did we ever get a clear understanding of what the change on the Army Corps side was, of what the motivation and reasoning for that, considering that we had successfully been working these things for 50 years?
So after Hurricane Sandy went up the Jersey coast and wiped out the beaches up there, the Army Corps was going in to do do a restoration project under FCCE funding, and realized right before they went to construction that the entire area was private, yet they had been nourishing it for years. So they paused and said, we need to figure out what, you have to have the easements in place to do this project. That right there triggered a nationwide review of all projects to ensure that the necessary perpetual easements were in place. We don't agree that the term perpetual is necessary. It's not in the act that's cited. It's not the law, it's a policy. So it can be changed, but at this moment, the Army Corps is holding firm that 100% of perpetual public access easements are necessary to ensure federal support.
So when you say the Army Corps, are you referring to a group of attorneys that are making these quote-unquote policies?
We are not, there's a lot of unknowns right now. Obviously, we worked with our Jacksonville Army Corps office. They submitted, we didn't even actually know they were submitting a waiver on our behalf. We're very grateful for them to do that. They really felt that Sand Key was different. They felt that Sand Key being authorized in 1966 before any of the legal changes or policies that had been put in place, that our project existed before all of that. So it's kind of like almost like a grandfathering situation. So we did have a meeting, with the contact on the denial of the waiver, but the outcome of that meeting was not very positive. They kind of really focused on the fact that the easements are required, and if we're going to move forward in any way, that those easements need to be in place. We even discussed, we have heard from some areas of Army Corps that we could revise the cost share, and local sponsor could find another means of paying for areas where we don't have easements, and federal could continue supporting those areas where we do. We've had some areas of Army Corps say, that's fine, so long as it's not a storm condition. We've had other areas of Army Corps say, no, there's no federal interest in that project. So,
And so, Commissioner, yes, it was a policy that's driven from the highest levels of Army Corps. Who, how, what. So
Right.
so it is a policy interpretation that they're applying, but notably nationwide. So we're not going to be the only ones affected by this.
No, and I understand, but my issue is bigger than that, because I'm very aware that the Army Corps of Engineers is a standalone agency functioning under the auspices of the federal government of the United States. And they are not held accountable to anyone. I don't know any other thing that we work on, or that whether it's local government or state government, that doesn't have accountability to somebody. I mean, to me, it's absolutely outrageous. And how they've gotten away with this for so long is beyond me. Commissioner Latvala, shed some light, please.
Thank you. Barry kind of touched on what I was going to ask. And that is, I guess other states are in the same predicament with their easements as we are in since Hurricane Sandy from a couple years ago.
yes, and we've, very recently, we had a meeting with the Florida Beach and Shore Preservation Association, because, for a while there, the only area anybody was talking about in Florida was Sand Key. And so it made it hard, because it was like we were out there by ourselves. But now, because the Army Corps has kind of renewed that focus on ensuring easements are in place, they've now told the Jacksonville office and the Mobile office that regulate beach nourishment or conduct these projects in Florida to go back and look again. And so now the Army Corps presented a map at that meeting that there are 10 counties in Florida that are in a similar predicament. So we're not going to be the only voice anymore.
We
And
we were kind of the first out of the gate where this was applying. And what's happened is they've started looking at how it affects other projects, and it is snowballed. Not only to our projects, but others that have upcoming nourishment program projects. And we have 10 counties in the state and 1 city.
we have North Carolina as well, and New York and New Jersey.
And so the reason that it hasn't really caught hold is because they're just now applying it, and a lot of these places have upcoming nourishment projects, and they're just now realizing the impacts of this policy decision.
So, and that brings me to my next question, and I don't know if it's a question for you or to Joel. Is there any examples of a county or state suing or successfully suing the Army Corps of Engineers?
Well, let me go to part. We'll jump ahead to kind of the where we're thinking we go with this. So last week at Florida Association of Counties, we had a meeting with all the county managers, and we outlined kind of how this is applying, and you saw some startled looks in that, saying, yeah, we kind of heard about this, but it's really not on our radar because, but they got the same letter we did, so 10 counties got the same letter that kind of applied this. We have a call Monday with all those 10 counties that are impacted to talk about this. And I think that the ideas, kind of when we come out of this of where we go, we've got to keep projects moving because there's going to be a delay while we figure this out, but we've got to come up with that strategy. And so I think the next step is for us to define what that strategy is. We've tried working through the White House. We've tried going through our senators and through our congressmen, and they've all been very, very supportive. But that hasn't changed the policy interpretation. And so that's the next step, is to get a team on board that can really work this issue, and it may be a multi-pronged approach. And that's what we're still trying to grapple with, which is what's the best strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly, and I applaud our local congressional delegation and the U.S. senators that are helping, and Congressman Luna is doing everything she can. But I think that we need to look past the legislative process and look at the judicial process, and whether that's suing. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know who we would sue, whether we would sue the Biden administration or the Army Corps of Engineers. But I think we certainly need to attack it from multiple angles.
And let us come back to you with that, because we'll look at all those and we'll get everybody's opinion on that, because there is language that we can insert. The problem is we got to get that through Congress. It's like anything. So we're going to look at all those and come back with some ideas. And so we'll take any ideas that you have.
Well, I agree with where Commissioner Latvala is going, and it seems to me with 10 counties, we have a really good opportunity to file a class action against them, don't we, Jewel?
Well,
We need
first
a
let me
legal
say,
interpretation.
we're not aware of any lawsuits that have been filed successfully or otherwise. The party would most likely be the Army Corps of Engineers. It would not be a class action, but we could certainly pool our resources and file as multiple plaintiffs in a similar lawsuit, at least potentially. Probably a thing to do would be challenge a permit denial or something like that, but we could certainly look into legal options. But to this point in time, we are unaware of any lawsuits that have been filed successfully or otherwise against the Army Corps.
The idea of bringing on a group that represents the entire group for the state of Florida, okay, all the counties, that would have background in legal, issues, both policy-wise and, legal-wise and engineering-wise, and all the idea of getting a team on board that can evaluate all of our options and bring us recommendations is really where we're wanting to go.
Well, and I think that's really important, because right now we're having this very big conversation that affects, I think I heard $10 billion worth of economic resources in our county, and we're just one county. So imagine what that number might be if we were to add all 10 counties into the mix. And there's a lot of strength in that.
There is, Commissioners. I do want to say, when we say 10 counties, not everybody has the same impact as us. Like Duval County has hundreds of easements that they need, but a different county, they needed like 4. Okay, so then, they go to coffee and try to get the easements, right? So each county's a little bit different. That's what we're trying to figure out. But there are counties that have major impacts to this, and that's the reason that next step of trying to bring everybody together is important.
Well, and the other point that I feel compelled to make is the timing, just like everything else in life, timing is really critical. We are going into full-bore hurricane season. The condition of our beaches is a life, health, and safety issue if we're looking at a major storm coming down on us and you have 2 feet of beach versus 25 feet of beach, right?
You are correct. Yes.
What? Did you hear that? There's thunder at my comment. Go ahead, Commissioner. Oh, well then.
Well, just out of the hierarchy process, if you know, the Army Corps answers to someone.
They don't.
They,
That's the point.
They report to the Army. So, yeah, it's there. And I want to say that the picture has changed, shifted a little bit. And as Barry just discussed, when we were by ourselves, it's very hard for anyone to say, yeah, we're going to make a one-off exception because for you. And no one else was talking about this. We even talked with the Florida Beach and Shore Preservation Association about our concerns years ago, and again last year and before that. But again, it was a Pinellas County issue, and they were like, we're the Florida Association, and there wasn't a lot of impetus to move anything else forward. Now they're in because 10 of their coastal communities are affected. So now we have them as a partner. We have Florida Association of Counties coming to the table. Our voice is going to get louder. And the Army Corps, has now appointed a general who is taking a deep dive into this issue above, the folks that we've been working with. And he is reaching out and talking to the state offices as to, why is Florida different? I can't get the Army Corps of Engineers to acknowledge that we have an erosion control line that actually provides a public beach. I've asked the question 10 times. Well, now he knows about it because he's heard it from the Army Corps Jacksonville staff that there is an erosion control line that guarantees public access and a public beach. Florida is different than New Jersey. You can't treat them the same. So those conversations are happening. There is also an individual appointed in the ASA's office to be the person on this issue. That didn't happen before now. So, the landscape is shifting a little bit.
Yeah, my point being that if this is not a actual policy change, but a policy interpretation by the current leadership or leadership in 2017, then communication above their head and to make that noise, to put that pressure is the fastest way if we can find the right person to talk to. When I was chair a couple years ago, I talked to the brand new person who was the liaison to the Army Corps from the White House, and really he was still learning what all of that meant, and so it really didn't go very far. But that seems to be, and with 11 counties or 10 counties coming together, that seems to be a much more effective, quicker way of getting this done than waiting for official policy change through Congress or waiting for a lawsuit to go through the court system, which could take a lot longer than anything else. But I'm not opposed to keeping all our options open, but having that conversation, finding the right person who's the right person and having that conversation, that seems to be the path.
We have been working on that. Obviously, we went to the White House with the chair and with the mayor and others. I think we've really got to go everything simultaneously. You're exactly right. If we can get a policy, and that's the reason I think hiring a team that can work on this, there are groups that working through departments. Their specialty is working with the Corps of Engineers. So why aren't they part of our team, talking to them? They have longstanding relationships, because you're exactly right, that would be the fastest. But that's part of trying to get the right team on board to really look at this and try to advance those items. Just so you also know, it does have to be multi-pronged. Kelly's already begun looking at the design and engineering and getting that on board for what will be needed when we do Sankey. We're not waiting a year, because that design takes a year. We're going ahead and doing it. And so we'll have that in place while we figure this out. So, we've got to do things simultaneously.
If there's a team that knows how to move the Army Corps of Engineers, I would think it would be Harry Glenn that would know who that team is. Harry?
Harry will be involved in that, and we invited him to the call next Monday. But there are, so yes, we want to look at what that strategy is. But we also want to work as part of a team, which means, getting the other counties' input on that.
Okay, hold on one second. Commissioner Peters has questions, and then Commissioner Eggers.
Okay, and so I got a couple things before I got a bunch, but I'm gonna try and space out and do some more later. But, so Kelly, what I'd like you to do is read that statement about that Army Corps has, and that their policies are not to be so rigid. Because I don't think everyone's heard that statement, and that will just increase your frustration.
Okay, one moment. I'm not going to look for it on my phone, but I will generally summarize what I provided to the commissioner and Representative Senator Scott's office. There's in the policy that the Corps referenced for denying the waiver, there's a section in the same policy that says that rigid policies are not a good idea.
What?
That these projects are a matter of life, safety, and that the Army Corps should not have rigid policies, and that they should work to find solutions. It's not an administrative right to approve those flexibilities to deviate from the norm, but there's a process for doing so.
And who wrote
So
that?
Kelly,
Who wrote
if you
it?
could,
The Army Corps wrote the document, correct?
so if you could provide that when you have it to everybody, just kind of highlight that section, because it strictly says in their policy that no policy should be rigid, that it would affect safety and whatever else safety and infrastructure and so forth. So the fact that the policy says this and they're being so rigid is completely incongruent. So if you provide that to everybody, because that's incredibly frustrating. And then, there's another community that you said went ahead with eminent domain. And so what I'm curious about is, what does eminent domain look like? Are they doing eminent domain on the entire piece of property, or just the easement piece of property? And if it's the easement piece of property, what does that look like? How much of property would it be? Again, that would upset the citizens if we instituted eminent domain, because they would say the same thing, we're doing a land grab. But that's what one community did, and I don't know what that would mean and what it would look like if that was something that was to be considered.
St. Johns County, to move their project forward on Volano Beach, I believe they had 4 properties that would not sign on easement. So they've put in writing to the Army Corps of Engineers that they're going to go through the eminent domain process to secure the area over those where the easement lies. So I don't know what that looks like in the, as far as how big that is up there in St. John's, but the Army Corps has made that as a provision of moving forward with this project. So they're going to go out to bid, and they're going to prepare to do this project. But if they have not taken the parcels by that time, the county will have to figure out how to do that area. They'll be responsible for doing that area on their own cost. But they are committed to that. That's what that looks like. Obviously, we've got 238. They're highly variable. They're between the erosion control line and a seawall. Some are narrow, some are wide. It's about, from a easement percentage perspective, it's about 60%, or yeah, 60%.
Okay, so I guess that's not helping me figure out what that really means. And I understand, and maybe that's something we could, look at, but
I
to
can show you
understand
a
it better.
map of where all the easement areas are in Pinellas. We have that all mapped out.
Oh, okay, and so that's, when you look at options, you can't take that off the table. It's still an option. May not be a great option, but it's an option. My thoughts about what Commissioner Justice said is I agree. However, even if you don't want to wait legislatively, I think if you have senators and Congress people pressuring, you can still have great success. We know that. Absolutely, we know that. So, I know Senator Scott's office is, I don't know if they've gotten back with you, Kelly, to get something scheduled. I hope they have. But I think the more, we engage legislatively even, at the Congress level, I don't think it hurts us to engage them. I think they can put equal amount of pressure on Army Corps and who's ever in the Army that oversees Army Corps. So I would never just assume that we, kind of go lax on that. I think we still pressure every single one of those U.S. senators and as many congressmen that we can throughout the 11 counties that have this problem. So I think that that's a strategy you have to continue to do. And Barry, FYI, I do have 2 other names that when you look at consideration, I'd like you to consider. So I'll get with you on that later. But I am curious, and I assume this is coming soon, about what we're going to do in the meantime. I mean, I'm hopeful that we're not going to let these beaches flounder. I mean, Sunset Beach it's a hazard. If anyone tries to use those crossovers, they can't. It's more than a 6-foot drop down. It's dangerous if somebody's going to try and get on the beach and try and get over that 6-foot cliff. There's real safety issues out there. North Reddington Beach has some real safety issues, but right now Sunset Beach has real serious safety issues. And I just don't know how long we can wait this out without taking action. And I understand, and Kelly, you have not said this out loud, that if we do take action, I need you to explain, what does that mean? So if we go ahead and do the beach renourishment, what does that mean when it comes to a storm that comes in the future? I think that's, all of this has to be kind of like laid out on the table. What are we going to do? And if we do it, what's the repercussion?
And Commissioner, I want Kelly to address that because she's got several slides that are coming up that really talk about the financial impact of these decisions. And so if we do it alone, before we make that decision, do it alone, I'd like you to know what that financially means. And so the next several slides is going to do that. But again, going back to the point I made to you, Commissioner, earlier, is that you've got to go through a permitting process regardless if we do it on our own. Okay, we've got to engineer it. Kelly's already, I think if you haven't signed the contract, it's coming, but we've already started that process. So
We have to go because of the cost associated with a project like this. I mean, Sand Key to design and construct is about $57 million. So we got to go through the CCNA process, but we are finalizing the scope of work. We're getting that over to purchasing so that we can start that and get the contractor on board.
we're starting that now.
Yes.
Right? The point being is we're not waiting until we have a solution. We're going to get the engineering going now to where when we're ready and we make that decision, the engineering's already prepared. Because that takes a year regardless.
There are, I realize there are sections of the beach that are, to Commissioner Peters' point, safety issues. There's a lot of concern from the residents out there. And, if we need to do erosion work to prevent something catastrophic, we can apply for emergency authorizations to do small areas like that, to do repairs, basically truck material in. And if that's something we need to consider because we can't move fast enough through the regulatory process, then that's something we can put out on the table as well.
But if we can get through the site, she'll go through and show you some of the options and alternatives. But Commissioner Peters just also raised a huge issue, which is the concern about if we do it on our own, some of the interpretations you're getting about how that would impact us in the future.
Correct.
So-
Yep. So as Barry mentioned, I'm going to go.
Hold on one moment, Kelly.
sorry.
Commissioner Eggers.
Just real quick, as the conversation has gone on, I was touching on a lot of the points that I wanted to raise, but the one that I really wanted to talk to, Barry, you brought it up about a multi-tiered approach on this thing. So they have their generals, and so we'll just, in this arena, we'll make you General Kelly. I think about the maps in Europe when they were trying to, they had an end goal game, and they had multiple ways of getting it done. And I think about the political route that we cannot stop, to Commissioner Peters' point. It has to be relentless. And I think Commissioner Latvala mentioned some of our folks that have been working so hard, they can't stop. So we have to keep reminding them because they got a lot on their plate. Same thing on the legal front. I thought that was a great point. I think we need to explore all of it. And do we need to do it now? Because the issues that our beaches are facing, some very critical, and some will be critical. And after the storm season, to your point, it could be even more critical. So I really don't know. The local groups that are involved around the state, I think that's great, getting them on board from a legal perspective, operational perspective, political, all of it. So there needs to be a really organized effort, and I know you're doing it, and you've got a lot on your plate as well, that we're working and we're pounding the doors frequently and often. And so I would just say that. And the only other thing again, we don't have time to talk about it today, and there may not be that much to talk about from a technology or infrastructure standpoint. To understand what the Corps is doing in their infinite wisdom of knowing everything about protecting our beaches with physical structures that would minimize the need for the beach renourishment as often as possible. And I know we have some of those things.
She's going to touch on that.
Excuse me?
She's going to touch on that. As part
So,
of this.
I mean, those are just some thoughts, and that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be really brief. I agree with what Commissioner Justice mentioned earlier, but I had a question for you. And I'm not sure if I misremembered what you said several months ago when you were talking about a story during one of our meetings. But I thought you mentioned that during an event in Tampa, you spoke directly to President Biden about beach renourishment
Yes,
during an event he had.
Yes, I did.
And that led to the White House meeting that you led a Pinellas delegation on.
Yes.
So we've literally you've had meetings with the highest ranking government official in the United States government about this.
Correct, as well as the staff that head up this particular area within the government White House office.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so as Barry mentioned, as a result of the challenge that we have in front of us, we've evaluated a number of financial scenarios. I'm going to go through a few caveats just because these are not perfect and there are a lot of known unknowns and unknown unknowns. But what we did attempt to do is estimate costs and revenues under the blue sky scenario. That's, the Army Corps comes back in and we're moving forward as we have in the past. Partial funding scenarios, and then when I say no funding, I mean no outside funding. We are taking this obligation on ourselves. These financial overviews are based on the current tourist development tax allocation of 0.5%. All right, so there's no additional funding that is thrown in there unless it's grants that we know we obtain. The nourishment cycles that we used, the current Treasure Island and Long Key Upham Beach cycle is 4 years. So you'll see at the beginning of the forecast, it's a 4-year scenario. Then for Sand Key is authorized to be at 5-year cycle, but historically our schedule has been 6 years. The new authorization for Treasure Island and Long Key is 6 years. So there'll be some scenarios that you'll see after the expiration of the initial authorization on those two beaches, the cycle moves to 6 years. With regard to structures, as Barry mentioned, I know he's spoken with you that We hired a coastal engineering firm to look at this. At the point we created this presentation, we hadn't heard back. We've brought up, that structures don't replace the need to nourish. You still have to nourish. They can create other problems, and there's a lot of regulatory hurdles. We received the draft report yesterday or day before, and I just jumped right to the conclusions to see. I haven't deep dove into it, but they also said that structures are not recommended on Sand Key for a variety of reasons, including the way our beach performs, longshore transport, the mitigation, the impacts of structures could actually make it worse in some areas and have to mitigate that. The regulatory framework is very difficult to get through, and that actually may increase our costs in the long run. So there's still a scenario in there for structures just to show what it might look like, but I just wanted to provide that feedback. And Pass-A-Grille is typically only nourished once every 2 current Treasure Island Long Key, so it's about on a 10-year cycle. It was scheduled to be done this cycle with Treasure Island and Long Key. Additionally, we do have structures out there like the terminal groin and the jetty at Johns Pass, the structures at Upham. Some of our structures that we have out there are old, and we're beginning engineering evaluations on them just as part of our normal process. We may have to repair, we may have to reconstruct. Those types of costs are not built in here. In the structure scenario, there's hard bottom that would have to be mitigated, there's erosion that would have to be mitigated, and other associated costs. None of that is factored in because it's just, we know about it, but we have no means of actually estimating it. And then probably the bigger issue here is that these are blue sky scenarios when it comes to cycles. We are hitting our cycles. We're not getting storms in between. We're not correcting damage from an event. The Army Corps, this is one policy that they have been very consistent on, is that if we do not have 100% of the easements in place, we will not be eligible for flood control and coastal emergency appropriations. So we have received those appropriations after hurricanes. A section of the beach, a portion of the design beach, the Army Corps will pay 100% to reconstruct that with FCCE funding. However, because we don't have the easements, if an event were to occur, we would be on our own. Additionally, because it's a federally authorized project, it's ineligible for FEMA reimbursement. So anything that would occur in between our normal cycles shown in these scenarios is not considered. So I'm going to take some time and walk through each one of these. This is the best scenario that we could hope for, is that we either obtain 100% of the easements we need, or the Army Corps changes their policy. We have more than sufficient funding to hit our cycles, to address, maintenance of our other coastal management responsibilities, to, when storms come in, to handle that. The fund balance continues to grow because there's large gaps in the projects, and we don't expend it down. Financial overview 2 is honestly where I thought we might land. I guess I should have kept my mouth closed, I guess. Treasure Island, Long Key, so that's Upham, and the Pass-A-Grille segment. The Army Corps comes in and does their project like we've been planning for. And we construct Sand Key. We design it, we construct it. So we put that nourishment event in 27. You can see the fund balance gets drawn down, but does not accrue enough funding to cover the next cycle after. So we would need to cover that shortage with reserves or some other funding source. But then as we go forward, future nourishment cycles continue to eat into the fund balance, and then the deficit grows. With financial overview 3, this is financial overview 2, adding structures. And so that's where you see in 31 and 32, I've programmed in the construction of structures. You build the structures and then you nourish right after. And you can see there's a large funding gap, and the fund balance does not recover at that point. Financial overview 4. This is a conversation we've been having with the Corps. I mentioned it earlier, where if the local sponsor would take responsibility for funding the areas where easements do not exist 100% on either side of the erosion control line, which is Army Corps policy, and would the Corps still do the project? The cost split would shift from 65-35 federal county to 40-60. So 40% federal, 60% county. We thought we had hope there, but it seems that this one is not necessarily an option at this point. It is viable. We can construct on normal schedules and still have fund balance available for other coastal management needs. But right now, we're not sure that this is going to be a viable alternative with the Corps' policy.
Kelly, are those?
Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. Those red spikes, is that the sand key?
Correct.
And so in this scenario, we're not paying for all of it. And so the 40-60 becomes that's why we have the fund balance the way we do.
Yes, we're paying 60% of the total cost, and the Army Corps is paying 40%.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And Treasure Island, Upham, Pass-a-Grille are still federally authorized and still at the cost share that I presented earlier. Financial Overview 5 is a fully county-funded program under the current tourist development tax allocation. So we would plan for and nourish, here soon. The fund balance would be drawn down by 27. We would need to supplement the Sand Key project. And then at that point, we don't have funding to work with. So this overview summary slide is basically just everything that I just presented to you. Obviously, 1 and 4 offer a relatively good financial picture for the program, can support other coastal management needs. 2 and 3 were okay at the start, but we end up in a deficit going forward. And then obviously 5, where we are today with our program, we really can't deliver it. So with
Kelly.
that, yes.
Did I see that for 500, or was it 200 million, we could do the whole thing? Right there.
So
Yeah, 200 million?
it's essentially, like if we were to do all of the beaches right now ourselves, it's about 80 million for everything. This event for Sand Key, Treasure Island, Upham, Pass-a-Grille.
And then when would we have to do that again?
We would do Treasure Island, Upham, Pass-a-Grille, Treasure Island and Upham in 4 years, and Sand Key in 6. So this is a 6-year cycle.
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you, Madam Chair. But that budget projection, that's just assuming the current funding formula of 1/2 penny that we've been doing forever, right?
Correct.
And that's $7 million currently, give or take,
Where's Jim?
7.5?
Jim's there.
Chris, do you know? Oh, Jim's right here. Here's my guy.
Hey, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Abernathy, Office of Management and Budget. Starting in FY '25, it would be about $8.5 million, and then growing about 3% depending on actual collections.
And that's what we've used that to project all the way out, is that growth of that 3? Okay.
Yeah, yes.
But Commissioner, to your point though, you can see what happens in the out years and the amount per year you're in a deficit situation.
Right. No, I understand, but
From the bed
This
tax
is-
we would be?
from the 1/2 penny
Oh,
of the bed tax, 1/2% of the bed tax. So
Well-
that's, the current funding formula, but just, it's not like that's the only money available for this project. That's what my point would be, is that there is a way of tweaking the formula
Oh, absolutely.
as far as the bed tax is concerned. What, the second part is, let's say we decided, we can't wait any longer, we have to go it alone. And let's say we're going to go do it, we want to do it today, and the money's there for whatever project. How long does the permitting process take if we're going to pay for it all ourselves?
Year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
Now, that's under just nourishment. When you get into structures,
Oh, yeah, that's a
that's
whole
a
other
different ballgame.
Yeah.
And I mean, you told me, what, 9 years under a best-case scenario?
I think we were pretty aggressive in this scenario. Let me go back.
Is that a current for any type of structure? I mean, the T-Groyne's out on St. Pete, on Upham, was that a 9-year process back then?
20,
20-year process?
yeah.
To get approval?
We were able to get a permit in about 10 years to put temporary, you remember the very large yellow temporary geogroins out there? We had to put those out there, and then we monitored and assessed them for 10 years to ensure that they weren't going to cause a problem somewhere else. And then once we resubmitted and received a permit to build the permanent ones. Upham is a very unique situation and honestly a good example of where structures do work, because there are no downdrift impacts, and it's a very isolated area.
Well, and so, I guess and I know that we had talked earlier about coming forward with an entire TDT plan of everything, but how do we really logically do that, not knowing what this is going to be and what kind of priority we're going to place on beach nourishment over any other capital project we would do?
It's a great and it's a very fair question, Commissioner. We created these scenarios, and especially scenario 5, because that's a natural reaction. Well, just go do it yourself. But as you can see, you'd be spending your entire, tourism development tax money just for nourishment. There wouldn't be anything, left in those out years. So, major policy decision, right? Well, but we got 4 others that we need to play out to see if we can find a balance, all of which have significantly less financial impacts. And so I don't think we know where we're going to be. That's the worst case scenario. But we wanted, as we look at, and we may have to do something, but as we look at these, this factor doesn't even consider that if these are not federally authorized projects, if you get a hurricane hit, they're not coming to our rescue. That's probably far greater than anything we've shown here.
Oh, yes, it would be, if we had to reconstruct from the seawall out, that's probably, oh gosh, I don't even know. We've got 30 years of sand out there. I mean, those dunes that exist out on our beaches, those were not there after Elena in '84. Those accumulated and grew as a result of repetitive nourishment and, planting that out there so that the sand stays in place. If we had to construct all the way back, it would probably be 3 to 4 times a normal nourishment.
My obvious point here is that we're going to have decisions potentially in the next several weeks, months, that really rely on a portion of the bed tax that, really can't be made. I mean, you can't make any of those in silos, and then the next day wake up and go, man, I wish we had this money to spend on the beach, then we don't have it anymore.
I fully understand your point, and it's a fair point. I think you can look at it a little bit different too. Because of the impact of needing these beaches to be federally authorized, to be able to have federal money for recovery, we have to make one of the 1 through 4s work.
Well, wait a minute. There's one scenario that's not up there. And I would like to see the economic impact of a new ballpark or redoing our beaches. what's the economic impact to us as a county? I think we have to have a hypothetical of that before we can answer the concerns that Commissioner Justice has already raised. I mean, we're talking about spending $600 million on a brand-new ballpark, or $200 million to keep our beaches sound. What are you laughing for? Am I wrong?
It's simply about choices.
Okay, Commissioner.
So, going back to what Commissioner Justice was talking about, if we don't have a beach, we don't have tourism. And tourism is our #1 economic driver in Pinellas County. And, I would like to see us look at the formula that we use in dishing out the money in the bed tax as regard to projects and advertising. And I, like to think back, in 2010, there was a disaster in the Gulf of Mexico with a BP oil spill. Not a ounce of oil touched our beaches, but our tourism was devastated. And it was all due to perception, and it was all due to people thinking that we had oil up and down our beaches in Pinellas County. And due to what people in Europe were reading in the media, and people in Asia and other parts of, and also parts of the United States. And, if there are parts of Pinellas County that do not have sand, which currently in Sand Key, there's only a few feet of sand, my worry is that people are going to quit coming to Pinellas County because they're going to think that there's not any sand here at the beach. More than half of our visitors are repeat visitors. And we don't need to spend money doing digital ads to people in New York City to try to get them when more than half of our visitors are repeat guests. And so I worry about the perception. And to Commissioner Justice's point, we're going to have projects that the TDC has already recommended that may come before us shortly that, I have concerns about, and it doesn't have anything to do with those projects. It has to do with us having the money to, because once we spend that money, we're not going to have it again to spend on the beach or whatnot. And, there's no doubt we don't have to do a study on do people come to Pinellas County to go to the beach or not? We already know that answer. And so that's my concern is, whether we have to do this alone, which I hope we don't have to, we have to do something about our beaches and about the sand because there's no other more pressing need in Pinellas County than this.
Commissioner Edgars?
So just taking that last example, Kelly, I'm kind of the one where we would do it all ourselves. Now, because I've talked to you about other private property around the county when we do work in easements. We don't put money into private property without easements.
Correct.
So the policy that these folks are doing is not dissimilar from what we would have to do.
No, and we've communicated that to the Corps very strongly, that we are not objecting to requiring an easement. We do that for drainage projects, whatever it is, and we need to access private property. We need to have those necessary rights. That's not the issue. It's how they're applying the policy.
There's some areas where they don't even, the sand's going where there isn't private property.
Correct. There are public areas being nourished. There are areas where the easement is way, way up in a dune, and no sand will be placed there at all, but they still will not nourish the public beach because we don't have the easement on the private side.
So my question is, and again, this is probably things that we've been doing, and I know you've tried many times over. Because we got to work, again, I'm getting back to that picture in my head that we've got to work all these fronts. So I'm going back to the folks that have the easements, or have not the easements, they have the private property that they're asking for easements from. And if we were doing it, how would we bring comfort to those residents that their property, other than the need for having it for the easement for the renourishment purposes, would be protected? How would we do that? And how are we doing that now to give them comfort that this is not, I know there's some that are just hanging their hat on, we're the government, we're here to help, and they're saying, no, you're not going to help us, so thank you very much. But there's others that are probably more practical from the standpoint of having their property.
Well, one, we would not require perpetual easements. And so that word right there has been just a lightning rod. And we've, talked to the Corps about eliminating that or modifying it to extend to the authorization period, those types of things. We can use temporary easements. And we have in the past. It's a temporary construction easement, allows us to construct the project, and when the project's done, the easement's gone.
We also have around the county, in our creeks especially, I don't know if they're called perpetual, but they're permanent easements.
They're drainage easements.
Where we have responsibilities to make sure that the water flows. They have to take care of it. We don't go in their backyard doing whatever we want to do. We're telling them we're only there to do when there's a problem and there's an issue. I guess what I'm getting at.
We can improve the language greatly. I think the bottom line is it's not our easement language, it's the Corps'.
I understand.
And we've very much tried to eliminate or modify the wording that citizens have said, this is problematic for me, here's why it's problematic for me. We could get as far as we can. If we do it ourselves, we have a lot more flexibility with that easement language to address the concerns that the citizens bring to our attention.
Again, just as long as everybody understands what we're talking about here today, that we're talking about taking funds that would otherwise go to other projects and other things to make this county what it is, right. Or we're going to have to end up perhaps doing a lot of it ourselves to protect our beaches. And I again, I'm just wanting to make sure that the messaging that we're doing to our residents, and I'm not one of those residents that has the issue that we're talking about right now. But I think there's a practical and a reality that I hope we're just making sure that they understand all of the cause and effects that we're going through. Because we're going through a lot in anticipation of maybe even doing it ourselves.
Well, I hope many of them are actually watching or go back and watch this video and just reconsider. Are you sure this is where you want to be? Because, if we've got folks that are now upset and calling and saying, when are you going to nourish? The water's getting closer and closer to my house, and they haven't signed an easement. So I'm like, well, you know what? You could help us go a long way by reconsidering the easement.
And Commissioners,
Mary?
we've gone over a lot here today. This is a lot of information, and it's human nature to want to solve it and say, well, let's do X, Y, or Z. But, I hold back to the issue of what happens on, we cannot do it alone. If we do it alone, we're opening up the risk of a post-storm if these are not federally authorized projects. So this is a worst-case scenario. We're certainly going to make sure that we have our beaches, that is our lifeblood, but we've got to figure out a scenario that where we can fit it into 1 to 4. But I also know that you've said, what if we just do it? And I wanted you to see what that policy implication is if we make that decision. The financial impact is unbearable. Yes, we could take all of our TDC funds, and under a straight line scenario, we're okay. But what happens if we have big storms and the federal government's not there to help?
To that point, Barry, that first 10 years, you're talking about a renourishment in each of those areas or two.
We'd be okay there.
I mean, I'm talking about in terms of buying time.
Yes.
To get this problem solved for the long run, because in
We-
the long run, we're in trouble.
We can, and that's the reason we're going ahead to engineer Sankey to where next year, and you go, okay, you know what? We've tried all these scenarios, do it. Well, then we'll do it, right? And we're ready. And so we're moving forward multi-pronged, trying to, though, figure out a way to engage and keep the federal government and that financial support and that storm damage support, if need be, in one of these other scenarios. And that's just going to take time. But we're not waiting for the outcome of that. We're preparing for us just doing it while we figure out the best strategy.
And again, I don't think we're trying to, you know, and I don't think Kelly would or any of us would try to scare those folks into reality. But the reality is what we're talking about
This
today.
is a reality.
And I just want those residents to understand what this means, what the ramifications are for their home and for others that are around them.
Kelly and the mayor and so many other mayors have been on this for 5 years. They've had meetings, they've talked to the residents, and the misinformation that's out there, you've actually had people come to your meeting stating things that just aren't true, but they don't know. You know, they're scared they're going to have a hot dog vendor behind, you know, their house and in that easement, and that's not the purpose. But this is what we're faced with, and the Corps really doesn't care about your reason, you know, and that's, we thought we could find relief for them, but yes, if they would engage and we could get the easements, we could move forward a lot quicker.
Well, again, I'm not saying, I'm not putting my mind in their world, but if they understood exactly all the prongs that we're doing right now, which is not one effort, it's multi-efforts that are going on, I think we need to keep going back and reminding them not only about the importance of their easement, and I'm not going to say what's right and wrong for them, but just to make them understand that there's a lot going on here to try to avoid that issue, but we may not have a choice at some point. And what that really means for you, the taxpayer, or you, the resident in this county. So again, I think we need to move on multiple fronts and continue to battle this thing because
100% agree, and I think the residents, if you're talking about a message for the residents, if this is not a federal project, the federal government's not coming to help. That is a scary thought, you know, and that is a worst case scenario, but that's what we're facing, and, you know, with a Corps that's unwilling to bend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right.
So where are we?
I think we've had enough, and if there's other questions, you know, we really wanted to put this out on the table and go through all these different scenarios. Kelly tried to create all these different likely scenarios, you know, just like the report that she got back, she'll go through it. There's a lot more to work on here. We're going to continue to work. This will be the first of a discussion, not the last, and we'll bring it back here as we have updates and have more discussion.
Okay,
All right?
please proceed.
Thank you. Commissioner Peters.
You know, I do have a comment. So, Barry, I can't see all the people in the room, but my intuition tells me there's some people in the room that were, not only did they want to see the presentation, but we're kind of hoping that we had some direction. And I understand these are big decisions, but there's a lot of anxiety and angst out there that really are looking for direction on what we're going to do and when we're going to do it. And so I just don't know. And unfortunately, in a workshop, they can't make comments. They certainly can come on Tuesday and make comments, and maybe that's the way to do this. But I think the anxiety out there is really high, and you know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. But I think they need action, and they want action quickly.
Commissioner, we did say that if you said do it alone, I make that decision right now. We have to design it and to go through that process. We're beginning that process. So the same action, if we did it alone versus going through the Corps, the same action is what we're doing right now. And we can't do it any quicker.
Okay, and that takes a year, so that only really gives us a timeline of a year on the decision on pulling the trigger on who's paying for it, correct?
Correct. Well, we could still just do it. I mean, so if we're still trying to figure it out, we still have that option in a year. but we'll know more
Okay.
then than we do today.
And
Okay, okay.
I just wanted to add,
Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
sorry, I just wanted to let you know that we are on the calendar for the next Big C meeting as well.
Okay, and that should be a pretty crowded meeting. So, okay, thanks so much. I really appreciate all the work you're doing, Kelly. And I'm hopeful Senator Scott's staff got back with you. If not, I'll follow up with them. But thank you.
Okay, Commissioners, on to the agenda review. So as we just stated, a couple of updates. One, if you don't know, I wanted to introduce Joel Brown. So Joel is, he currently works in utilities, but he's agreed to step up as our interim intergovernmental affairs and help us prepare our state and federal program while, because Brian, decided he didn't want 4 or 5 hats. We had to get something off his plate, and so we really appreciate Joel stepping in to help us out this summer doing preparing our program while we try to figure out where we're going.
Where did he go? Is he still here?
He's there, probably behind me.
Oh, there you are. Sorry about that. I just wanted everybody to be able to see who we were talking about.
And I did send out his background so you can kind of get to know him a little bit, but he'll be meeting with you and helping prepare our program, so more to come on that. All right. The other thing I was just going to kind of remind you, we do have some really big work sessions coming up. So, here we're today talking about beach nourishment. And July 27th, we've got the stormwater peer review. Some of our stormwater regs that we've been looking at. We're going to be making some recommendations there. Lellman CRA update, sewer system, the mobile home sewer system improvements, and then the maximum millage. Coming up on August 10th, we've got transportation updates, surface water utility, solid waste ordinance, and then coming down into August, end of August. So there's several big items coming up. I'll give you an updated list when I meet with you one-on-one. Moving on to the agenda, go down to the first action item, being item 17, it's award of bid to Victor Construction for painting at various services, painting and pressure washing and things like that at various county contracts. This is a 60-month contract, $4.1 million, it's at 9% annual increase. Item 18 is a replat of Cypress Run. I think we've discussed this in the past. Item 20 is ranking of firms with DR McGuire. This is for the endeavors for emergency shelter. This is for the mental health staff. Item 21 is award of bid to Pool Kent Company for solid waste industrial pre-treatment. This is the intake pump station project. 22 is award of bid to Southern Precast Contract for reinforced concrete, PVC, precast slabs, related material. 23 is award of bid to Brentag Mid-South for membrane grade sodium hydroxide. I'm taking this as a utilities contract, yes.
Hey, Barry, on any of these projects that we're talking about, is staff seeing any softening of costs for raw products, or are we still, or is it leveling off, or are we still seeing?
We got Joe
huge
in
increases
the audience. I'll let Joe address that. We try to put the what they're seeing in the bid in the bullets. But I'll let Joe address it.
Hi, good morning. Joe Laura from Administrative Services. Commissioner, we have seen the percentages not go up as high, but it still hasn't leveled off, obviously. We still see increases on raw materials, especially chemicals. Chemicals have gone through the roof for whatever reason, so most utility contracts that have chemicals involved have gone way up. But they haven't gone up as much as the prior 2 years. So to answer your question, the percentages are still going up and not as high as they have been.
Are those raw products and chemicals you're talking about, are those import products, or
No.
are they just shortages in our country, or is it just the time to get it from point A to point B, or what's driving it other than perhaps perception?
You know, Commissioner, that's a really good question. I think greed, quite honestly, in some cases is driving it. There's really no rationale for a lot of it. For manufactured items, sure. I mean, there was a backlog, there was shortages and everything else, but for chemicals and things like that, I don't know what the reason is, honestly. I've researched it, I've read a lot. I don't see what the rationale is for that, to be totally honest with you.
Okay, thank you.
I wish I had better answers, sorry.
Item 24 is award of bid to Chincor Electric. This is for North Booster Pump Station electrical improvements at utilities, $4.4 million. 25 is a joint project agreement with City of Largo for the relocation and replacement of county water lines, fire hydrants, et cetera. This is along Rosemary Road. 26, a joint project agreement with the City of St. Pete Beach for the relocation of county drinking water and reclaimed water lines along Gulf Winds Drive. 27 is ranking of firms with Jacobs Engineering for professional engineering services for utilities. And this, I'll just comment, this is a big one. It's $23 million. But we have a lot of projects out in engineering, and a lot of them relate to the ARPA funding. With specific timelines that we have to have those projects completed. So we're going to be ramping up engineering services to be able to deliver these projects on time.
Under 28 is the report of lawsuits we've been served with in the last month. There's 4 cases there. They are all liability cases.
Got a couple of receipt and files onto the regular agenda. 31's increase in purchasing authorization with Amazon services for online marketplace. I don't know if you have questions, I'll let Joe come up and explain it. They do it by a lot that way, and they also are able to use that to where they can pin it down to local firms that you're buying though through Amazon. And so they actually are able to even help us with our local purchasing. I found that kind of interesting.
Well, he better be buying this week because there's a half-off price and savings.
Do we get the Prime deal?
We have big warehouse, buy up now and put it away. Go.
Emma, this is really a great program for the county. I mean, not only do we get pretty good prices on things, but it helps small businesses too. It's a great program, and just like at home when you buy things from Amazon, you can take advantage of a lot of the, reductions on things. So it works out very well across the board.
The next item, Commissioners, this is a ranking of firms with H.R. Green, Joe Payne, and Walden Engineering for building and development review services. This will be an on-call contract to where we can outsource peak loads to where we can then get plan review and things done quicker. And so this will be an augmentation. But what we're also going to do is measure the effectiveness of outside contracts versus our internal work and be able to, see how we can marry the two to continue to improve our customer service.
Barry, are these the 3? Are we working with them now? Are these the ones we're working with now?
No, these are outside. So
I understand. Yeah, I
and
thought
so
we were
no,
doing
these are new
some outside.
contracts.
So
These
we're
are new
not doing any
contracts. What
outside?
we've done in the past is had local folks, especially for inspections. We've had firms that do inspections. Well, we need to do plan review, and when we've done contracts before, it's really for them to do work here. Frankly, for a plan review, they can be at a cabin in, Oregon if they apply our standards and be able to do that review. And us going to an online platform to where the e-permits is what enabled us to be able to move to something like this. And so we had to have that in place to be able to move to this. So we're excited about seeing the results of this.
So is the idea to spread it around a little bit to get 3 different companies and experience working with 3, or is it to find one we like and stick with?
There may be specialty areas between the two. I would have to let Tom speak to that, but the idea is to get experience with this, learn how to use augmentation services, but the whole idea is to speed up that plan review piece.
Yeah.
Item 33 is a resolution expressing support to participate in the Collaborative Regional Consortium seeking grant funds for economic development for a regional technology innovation hub. And Cynthia's here. Maybe you'd like to speak to this real quick, or we can talk about it on Tuesday. This is an initiative where there are 3 counties I think that's right. I don't want to misspeak on this. The 3 counties coming together and looking at a tech hub and partnering to go after federal funds for this.
Good morning. Cynthia Johnson, Economic Development. The Tech Hub opportunity is a chance for us to collaborate on a regional initiative to create innovation and new technologies. It is an EDA grant that we will be applying for, and the Tri-County area, Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, and Pasco County have all agreed to support this initiative to really identify how we can come together and create a hub for new technologies in the creation of workforce in those new technologies, innovation in those new technologies. This will be for us an example of expanding our regional efforts to work more closely together with our regional partners. The University of South Florida has agreed to be the grant writer and a partner on this initiative, and it's 3 or 4 steps to this process. You want me to go into the steps of the process? I outlined the steps within the request for a resolution. What this resolution would do is say that Pinellas County is on board for this regional effort. One thing that we have been doing, and I think that this will be a real extension of opportunity, is, you all have been having regional meetings with the commission. Barry's been having regional meetings with the city, county administrators. We've been working with Global Tampa Bay and working on how we can be more effective with our economic efforts. We think that this will be an extension of those regional efforts. And what will come out of this, we have about 52 partners we're working with right now in the region. But what is coming out of this is a better understanding of our regional assets. And when this is all said and done, we should have a regional plan that will really give us something to focus on, where we can showcase as a region and work together to bring more economic impact into our community.
So, good regional project, and it was actually brought up from Hillsborough to us as part of our regional meetings. So, very positive new step. Item 34.
Thank you.
Item 34 is a resolution endorsing the Advantage Pinellas Housing Action Plan. 35 is a resolution superseding, repealing, and replacing Resolution 22-7, which is the medical marijuana treatment. So that'll bring that back to be an item that'll come before the commission versus being delegated at your direction. Item 36 is the first option of renewal and amendment with Catholic Charities for the Pinellas Hope Emergency Shelter. 37 is a dedication and public use and restricted covenants between Florida Communities Trust, City of Dunedin, and Pinellas County for the Gladys Douglas Preserve acquisition. 38 is amendment number 2 with Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Program with Florida Department of Economic Development. This provides $992,000 in additional funds.
Hey, Barry? Barry?
Yes.
I was just I'm looking at something else online here
Okay.
on our presentation yesterday, and I kind of went over you got past the number 37 too quickly for me.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So in that effort, out of our $15 million have been set aside for parkland purchases. We've spent $800,000 on this one. Is that?
That's correct. We county funds, we ended up spending $800,000.
Now, we did take some risk at the time.
We did.
That we might have more than that. But at the end of the day, we only spent $800,000 on this project. Again, I think that we keep hearing from different groups about
Yes.
opportunities out there. We are heading into the middle of 2023.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to make sure that we continue to look at those opportunities and maybe talk about it one-on-one if it's more appropriate than,
Sure, absolutely. And there's some other projects out there. We're taking a similar approach with them.
Right.
And we're welcoming opportunities to partner with others. But, obviously $15 million doesn't go a long way. We were at risk for about $3.5 million. We felt pretty good that we would be spending $1.5 million on this project, and we were thrilled that ended up costing us $800,000. So this was a good project, but there was some educated guessing with the amount of funding that we'd be able to get through different grants.
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since we're talking about this fund, there was another project in North Pinellas that we've been examining for a while. I was just wondering if we had a status on that.
That's the project I was referring to where, yes, we're working with them. We're setting up some parameters, and hopefully.
Do we have a timeline?
Well, yes, but again, it puts it back on them to be able to raise funds. I mean, and they say they need that commitment. We're working, I can brief you on our one-on-one on that.
Okay.
Probably be more appropriate. But yes, we love partners that bring money to the table to help the cost. Okay, moving on to 39, Declaration of Cooperation with Tampa Bay Nitrogen Management Consortium. So part of that costs us $7,500. Item 40, a grant agreement with Florida Department of Environmental Protection for shoreline protection at Treasure Island. Now, this is our state dollars. Although the project's on hold, we want to move forward. That again, so while we're figuring out the ultimate direction, we've got this in place, and this is our commitment for the state funds. 41's non-competing continuation of a cooperative grant with Department of Homeland Security for BioWatch program. Provides financial assistance, $145,000. 42 is a resolution supporting honorary designation of Alt 19 at Highway 19, let's see, from Orange Street to Orangewood Drive, as Specialist Zachary Shannon, Memorial Highway.
Barry, on that one, have we notified the family that we're taking this up and/or the state representative that brought it forward?
Kelly?
They may or may not be able
It's
to
not
come.
driven, this isn't driven by us, so I would imagine the state did, but I'll let her speak to it.
Yeah, Gina Harvey with Public Works has been coordinating all this and making sure all the touch points are in place. So I will reconfirm and just make sure, but she's been doing a great job of coordinating with all of the parties.
With the family and with the party.
Yes, and with the Department of
Okay, they may or may not want to be here or whatever. I just want to make sure that they realize that we are taking it up, and it's not we're not driving this. I know this state representative and state senator did this, but I think it's also part of our community, and so thank you.
Item 43 is an agreement with Pinellas Suncoast Fire District to provide funding towards construction of a new fire station. This has been in our plan for some time. We're honoring that commitment and advancing this project.
Is that same location, or do we have?
Yes. We've been unable
It's on site?
We've been unable to secure another location.
Okay.
Item 44 is First Amendment to an agreement with Badger Meters. This is for the Advanced Metering Infrastructure Program. Let's see. Item 45 is an amendment number 5, increases the purchasing authorization with K-Hart or Soft Technology for, this is for the Acela platform. This is to push that out to contractor licensing. 46 is the First Amendment to an agreement with Asset Works for the upgrade of our county fleet management system, fuel dispensing and accounting system. Item 47 is a third agreement with Born Tech Solutions for additional services. This is our Oracle Enterprise Resource Management System. This is phase 3. This implements HR, grants module, and various pieces like that. You're going to continue to see Oracle over and over again because someday we're going to migrate either to a best-in-class Oracle or to a new platform. But getting us, we haven't upgraded in 10 years. So getting us up to this type of thing is what we really need to do, enable us to do anything else. So just so you know, it's a big, 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 big effort.
It just seems like, when you say we haven't upgraded in 10 years, I feel like we've been upgrading every year for the last 10 years. I'm not saying on this, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of money going into our BTS system, whether it's cybersecurity or whatever, the new, But what do you mean we haven't upgraded in 10 years?
They haven't gone, I'll let Chris speak to it, but they haven't done a major upgrade to where in about 10 years. We've peeled pieces off, like we've pulled purchasing off, we've pulled budgeting off and things like that. But for all the major financials and having an HR system and stuff, we haven't done that in about 10 years.
Commissioners, good morning. Chris Rose, Office of Management and Budget. So this is the third phase of what we've been going through for the last 3 years. The first 2 years were have to do. This is now, as the administrator says, sort of want to do, need to do, in that range. These are probably, I'm the chair of the OBEC right now, the group that is looking at current Oracle and next ERP, whatever that may be, could be Oracle. And these are the two, what the administrator said, the grants and the HR are the first two things that we're looking at, and we are looking at a possibility of a new ERP after that. But
And I think you can think about it this way. You know, a lot of stuff now we're getting out of the business, putting it out on the web. That would be a next step that we could choose to do. But we couldn't upgrade to that right now until we went through this 3-phased upgrade. And so it was a purposeful decision that we made 3 years ago. That's what we've been going through. And then that'll enable us to kind of look in the future of how we want to provide those services.
So I would just like to weigh in because I sit on that board. You know, we upgraded the phone system a year or two ago as one example. And at that time, we had a very deep dive discussion about technology and the cost of it and how it is just turned into the cost of doing business. Because if you think how many times we upgrade our iPads or our iPhones, technology is constantly moving forward. And every time they do that, it messes with the equipment we already have. So in order to stay current and competitive with everyone else, it's, again, the cost of doing business.
No question. Well, that's why when he said we hadn't upgraded in 10
Right.
years, I was wondering what that meant.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been upgrading every year almost.
Well,
in terms
some
of
things, but
And the reason I was saying that is, you know, I didn't want 2 years from now, you're going to remember when we come back and we say, okay, now we want to go to, there's some real big decisions here, and it really is a collective of a lot of different agencies, including Ken Burke and others, where, you know, because of the financial implications and things, where we got to decide, you know, where we're going with this. Oracle is a good, strong system, you know, but there's a lot of other types of systems. There's, you know, we're seeing, I mean, these companies get bought out every day, and so we're kind of seeing where they're going, whether we want to put it out on the web, which addresses some of your cybersecurity issues to where you're not managing that internally. I mean, we got some big decisions to go down, and it'll be a few years before we're having those discussions, but this is the third phase of that implementation that puts us in a position to make another long-term decision.
Yeah,
and we also support the constitutional.
Right. Oh, yeah. And just from the perspective of those who aren't on BTS, you know, from time to time, maybe having that, the ABCs of what we're going through, it would be helpful. I mean, there are boards that we sit on that we deep dive, those who are on the board. So it might be helpful to do that from time to time.
I think that's a great thing. I mean, I would, you know, Brian and Jeff are really doing a great job, but they've got their hands full.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to get out of a lot of these old technologies where somebody went to a conference, saw something and says, oh, let's add that, right? Well, that's great, but now you've got to have people to support that, you know, and you get into all different types of technologies. So the cost of maintaining that's also where our biggest cybersecurity risks are these one-offs. And so, you know, they're trying to manage that. I think they're doing a good job. I think they've got a great strategic plan, but there's a lot there. There's a lot of agencies, a lot of independent authorities out there, constitutionals and everyone. And so I think they're doing a good job, and I think that'd be a great presentation for you to hear.
But to Commissioner Egger's point, I'm very interested in what the cost or the expense might be of moving into artificial intelligence and/or blockchain technology, and how is that going to impact our Why are you doing that?
We're gonna have, it's actually one of the things we're gonna bring to a work session. You guys had requested that, so.
Nice, very good.
Well, I do know the conversations I had with Dr. Johnson about the hub, and one of the focus points that they're going to be doing is cybersecurity
Right.
for the region, because that's what touches everybody right now. With all these technology changes and new technologies and all of that, this is probably an area that we can all kind of get on board with. But so, to your point, it's constantly changing. I just don't know enough about what we're doing, and so when you make comments like that, I like, oh my God, we've been doing, you know.
It's numbing from a financial standpoint. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really, really hard to keep up. And every time we put something out on the web, well, that also means that we're committed to whatever type of maintenance contracts that they put before us, because we're kind of beholden to them. So there's a lot in all that, and it is very, very expensive. So anyway. 48 is a resolution approving issuance of multifamily housing revenue bonds for Lellman Heights, 86 units, rental housing.
Do we have a date yet for actually turning of dirt?
Tom?
Tom Almonte, Assistant County Administrator. The schedule that we have, Commissioner, is demo is going to begin in March of 2024, and construction will begin in April, with a completion date scheduled for June of 2025.
25? Thank you.
49 is the same thing for Skyway Lofts down in St. Pete, 66 units. 50 is rescind an award with sign-on solutions for staff augmentation. Staff recommends, frankly, I don't remember why this was pulled. Do you remember? They couldn't perform or something? Need to review the agenda right beforehand.
Laura, again, for Administrative Services, yeah, the firm just couldn't perform, quite simply, and Human Resources requested the award be rescinded. So we'll still have two firms on the contract.
We have two other firms on the contracts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barry, on those two projects, do we have presentations for them, or
For the
48,
affordable housing?
49?
We can.
No,
So
again, I just on the
Catherine Driver will be here, so.
Yeah, just on the just a Lellman one, just kind of just a refresher on where it's going and.
Tom? Okay, so Tom will make sure they're prepared to talk to him.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thanks.
Under items 51 and 52, these are both requests to file suit. Under item number 51, this is a request to file a foreclosure action on a lien that arises from a code enforcement case. Under item number 52, this is a request to file suit against various entities for either underpayment or non-payment of ambulance transport fees. And I do not anticipate having any reports on Tuesday.
Item 54, I have a small thing called the 24 budget that we'll be presenting. So that'll conclude my report for that day. Item 55 is appointments to the Big Scene nomination for the Tourist Development. Item 56, appointments to the Parks and Conservation Resources Advisory Board. Item 57 are appointments to the Charter Review Commission. 58 are appointments to the Housing Finance Authority. And 59 are reappointments to Career Source. No other questions? Move on to public hearings. First item up is the second public hearing. This is for the airport property, Airco. And so this is the second public hearing as part of the master plan. Item 62 is a land use change from residential office to employment, 3.3 acres in Palm Harbor. The LPA recommended denial based upon the staff's recommendation. It's companion to item 63, which is the same thing in the zoning case. This is for a beauty salon. Item 64 is the Lum form-based code. Again, staff can make a presentation if you need it. 65 is the companion item to that. '66 is the annual action plan for Community Block Grant, Home Investment Partnership, and Emergency Solutions Grant programs. 67 is Clearwater Downtown Redevelopment Plan, allowing changes granted into the community, allowing changes granting the Community Development Coordinator the authority to approve allocations from Public Amenities Incentive Pool and modify the expanded list of eligible amenities. And those details are listed within your plan. Item 68, amends Chapter 42, the Consumer Protection Division, Property Assessed Clean Energy Ordinance. This is the changes as we discussed on PACE for the commercial piece. 69 is an ordinance amending the county code. This is repealing the ordinance for the advisory council, as we've discussed, and creating the one Pinellas format that we've talked with you about. Item 70 are changes to Chapter 90 of Pinellas Code for parks and environmental lands. This no smoking on the beach sand, and some other minor amendments. And that's it.
That's it?
That's it. Questions?
Questions? Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, I want to make sure, before we have the discussion about the budget on Tuesday, that I know what your expectations are for the end of that meeting. What are you hoping to gain out of the discussion on the budget on Tuesday?
The budget on Tuesday is my recommendation, okay? So I've laid out the budget to say, here's where I see the budget going, based upon your guidance that we've gotten up to this date, and setting the stage for more discussion and direction come August, to where in September at the public hearings, you can modify it however you wish to finally adopt the budget at the second public hearing in September.
Okay. Or the reason I'm asking, we had a very, very long MPO meeting yesterday, and part of it was their budget and budget discussion, and they were given some direction, I think from OMB, that they didn't need to. There was a lot on the table for consideration, but that some of it didn't need to be thought about anymore. And I don't want to get into what the specifics were because I'll bungle that for sure. My comment to them yesterday was, we can approve the budget, but there's still a lot of discussion to be had by commissioners at a commission meeting on Tuesday and potentially other workshops, potentially. So I just want to make sure that we're on that same path, that we're not already making.
This is simply a recommendation. We have to get everything down into one package.
Understand.
And if you want, so we have 2 workshops in August that you can say, hey, I want to do X. You get commissioners agreeing. Well, then we know, and we'll prepare those amendments coming up for the September public hearings. So yeah, this is simply a recommendation, but it is your budget. You can slice it, dice it, change it however you want.
All right. Well, I would plan to give some personal thoughts on it on Tuesday, but we've had some discussion one-on-one.
Correct.
I've heard the litany of reasons why we're bringing that forward. I still have this angst for an 11% tax increase on residents who are struggling already. So I don't necessarily, I'm not smart enough to have all the answers by any stretch, but I'm just saying, for me, that's an issue that I would like to at least maybe hear from my fellow commissioners about that on Tuesday. 'Cause I'd like to give time if there's any appetite for any kind of rollback to offset some of that tax increase. So, and if there is, you need time to bring substantive ones
Correct.
forward for us to consider at a workshop. So I just,
I would just ask, as you pare back revenue, you please pare back expense and give us direction where you want to do
well,
that.
that's what I would be expecting from you, is giving us alternatives of what those expenses might be.
And we have that in your budget book.
Yeah.
So in your budget book, you also see a recommended level of service level reductions, and that's paired with the program. So if you want to pare back a program, that would be our recommendation within those specific programs.
Okay, so all of those paring backs will be on the table for discussion if that's the direction we want to go. Okay.
Those or any others that you have.
Okay.
Keeping in mind that when you do that, you impact the quality of life our citizens have come to expect.
I'm painfully aware of the
In this
choices that we're
county.
making of,
Just saying.
yeah, quality of life and people that are desperately struggling right now. And sometimes it's just symbolic and sometimes it's real. And so that's my biggest concern right now, as it continues to be of all of our concerns, not just mine.
Duly noted.
What?
Commissioner Justice?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just didn't know if you had thoughts about what the process would be on the Charter Review Commission. We each have an appointee, making the assumption that those 7 appointees will be approved by the board. And then we have 8 applicants for 2 positions at the at-large positions, of how we work through the ballots. Just so you can be thinking about it, if we go through the first round and we have people who don't receive any votes, do they get dropped off for the second round? Anyway, just wanted to bring that topic up as we prepare to vote on Tuesday on the Charter Committee people.
Thank you.
How many positions did you say? 2. Oh, 2 the 2 at large.
8 people for 2 positions.
The last item that I just wanted to make the commission aware of is, we've had a unified personnel system under a special act since 1975-ish. I don't want to get that wrong. We've also had some challenges with this structure being cumbersome, having HR report to a separate board and work with the appointing authorities. At the last appointing authorities meeting that I put out as an option for us to bring that back and eliminate the special act. This will be coming to you as a recommendation if I receive support from the other appointing authorities. The reality is we got to do this together. So there's no reason to have a special act out of the state legislature that dictates how we govern HR. We can develop our own policies and procedures. We can create a independent hearing body like the personnel does to make sure that our employees have protections that managers manage and document and things like that. There's a lot of things. We can do that exact same thing without having a special act that governs how we do that. And what we have found is that it's been cumbersome. It's been very hard to get HR responsive to both our employee needs and the needs of the appointing authorities. And so I did make a proposal to the other appointing authorities. I notified the personnel board that that is something that I want to consider, and we're going to have more discussion on that with the appointing authorities. Being a special act, I know that if one senator holds it up, that it won't go anywhere. So we need consensus, and there's a lot of details, but I think it's high time that we reconsider how we structure that system.
Anybody else?
Barry, on the appointing authorities, have they done what you've done with HR assistance? I mean, we have an HR department, and
Yes.
some years ago, we added somebody in your office, in administration, to assist us.
There's been lots of versions of that over the years. I did create a workforce relations group, partly because of the size of the workforce that I have working for me in comparison to the other appointing authorities, and also because of the complexity. You go to some offices, they'll have 10 different types of positions. I have hundreds of different types of positions, from blue collar to white collar to very technical very, very different. And so those job descriptions and the complexity of managing that workforce, very, very different. So we did create a workforce relations department, but part of that was in response to issues of being able to get responsiveness out of HR. And so that is not the only reason that I propose this. I think it is time, and I think we can work through with, like I'm going to go to our EAC, to our Employee Advisory Council, and talk to them about this. This is not done to in any way. I think this is done to support our employees, not to take anything as a right that they currently have or protection that they currently have. So there's a lot more details to work through, but the group that's impacted the most is my employees because of the complexity and the size of our organization, more so than the other appointing authorities. Ken Burke's probably similar. He does not have any HR people within his. He relies solely upon that, but they have a lot of very similar positions, so it's just not as complex. And out of the tax collector, they do have their own HR group. Most of the others don't, but they're really a lot smaller. So it really impacts me a lot, to a much greater degree. And we've had 2 examples now. In the 5 years that I've been here, we just haven't had solid services out of HR.
Yeah, it just seems like there perhaps is a, as you go through this, it's the independence piece, for our employees where they may feel more protection when there's issues that come up. Somehow dealing with that in a new system will be important. And I'm not quite sure what that looks like, but.
Well, I told the personnel board members that have called me, I said, let's put you as our personnel board. There's no reason we can't have you as a hearing body, but having a part-time board that comes in once a month to oversee the day-to-day operations of HR, and then when I have unresponsiveness issues with HR, I got to go to my other appointing authorities to get consensus to approach the personnel board. It almost like, trying to, tattle. I typically just deal with the director who doesn't report to me. It's very, very cumbersome. The system works if you have the right director in place, but I've got 2 examples where it just didn't work. So I just say that, is it time to change that? If people don't want to change it, we'll work through it.
So what do you know that's same today as it was in 1975?
Correct. Nobody else has this in place. We're the only one that I know of that has a system like this. So.
Hillsborough had something like this, and they repealed it 10 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.